and welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Carson Heinko, who asked the question, who won a fight? Medusa from Soul Eater versus Orochimaru. I've done Orochimaru plenty of times. Medusa, actually, I've done Frankenstein before, but not Medusa. I've also done Krona. Orochimaru, we know, was a member of the Sannin. He was the Sasuke of his group. He was technically the best of the three of them, the strongest of the three of them. And he was technically the favorite student, too, of Sarutobi. But after his parents died, at least this is what was believed, his views on things changed. He became obsessed with death and, immortality. He started doing inhuman experiments on other, ninja, including Leaf Village ninja, to the point, and he became a missing nin, ultimately going rogue and vowing hatred against the village. Now, I'm summarizing that, but that's the general gist. There's also being, overlooked for the position of fourth Hokage, instead of favoring Minato instead, so forth and so on. Orochimaru has been one of the primary, was pretty much the main antagonist throughout all of the latter half of the first Naruto. While we still had the Itachi come in every now and then, it was Orochimaru who was the villain. Then he kind of became a secondary antagonist because the Akatsuki were the main villains. He was always around until he was killed, then he came back. And then he's kind of, if we go by Boruto, he's certainly not a villain anymore. But he's kind of like a neutral party. Like maybe like a chaotic neutral or a lawful neutral. If we're going by D&D terms. He's not evil. But he's not good either. He's still doing maybe less than humanitarian things to people sometimes, but but he's not causing trouble. At least not the same way he used to. But Orochimaru still is one of the most powerful characters left in the Naruto verse when you really break it down. Especially when you get to Boruto. When you get to Boruto and realize everything that's happened, the dude is nuts powerful. While it's arguable that Jiraiya was actually the strongest Sannin, and I think it's even stated at one point that he kind of was the strongest of the Sannin, in Shippuden, when you get to Boruto, Orochimaru is the strongest, bar none there. It comes down to the fact that he can actually copy jutsu just by looking at him. Why you need the Sharingan, who actually knows, but he can do that. He knows all 5 chakra elements, including yin and yang release, which is about creation and, molding, shaping chakra. He has multiple different snake-type jutsu, including the striking shadow snake, the summoning jutsu 4 snakes, capable of poisoning individuals with snake bites that paralyze them, summoning the Rashomon, which is a giant shield gate. He has the grass longsword, or I think it's the Kusagari, which is just a highly sharpened, katana that can. It's not a katana; it's actually more like a Chinese broadsword or longsword. Sorry, but it can lengthen to God knows how many, to whatever length. Beyond that, he is nigh invulnerable because he can take a massive amount of damage, has a healing factor. If he gets too damaged that even his healing factor can't handle it, he just uses the shedding skin technique and just crawls out of his body good as new. He's actually, because of Kabuto's experiments, because what happened, if you didn't really follow Naruto, is Orochimaru is able to steal bodies, basically, is what he's able to do. He does it every 3 years, and he's able to take all the abilities of said person and add them to him. Well, he ended up dying when he tried to do it on Sasuke. Kabuto, not wanting to miss a chance to be weird, took some of that DNA, combined it with Suigetsu's liquefaction technique to use Umaki's vitality, what was left of Kimimara's bone release, mixed it in and put it into his body to get this weird, perfect body he thought he needed. Then he was defeated by the others, by Itachi and Sasuke, put into a Genjutsu. But more importantly, in order to find something to help them in the war, he used Jungo's Curse Mark Chakra, or ability to meld with the Curse Mark Chakra, because he's the progenitor of that stuff. Took DNA from Kabuto, his snake DNA, melded it with the curse mark on Anko, and that holds a small portion of Orochimaru's soul, and Orochimaru was able to come out of that and be reborn, except now because Kabuto had mixed so much stuff in there, he had now bone release, he now had liquefaction technique. Oh, by the way, he got to possess a freaking Zetsu clone, white Zetsu clone, so he had wood release now. Orochimaru is freaking nuts. He's also over 60 years old now, I believe, by the time we get to Boruto. He's in his early 50s when we're at the beginning of Shippuden. Boruto takes place, I believe, 10 to 15 years after Naruto, if I'm not mistaken. So he's in his mid to late 60s, but he's still got the vitality of someone in their prime. So he's got a decade's worth of combat experience. He's a master strategist. It's easy for him to get out of situations if he needs to. It is very, very hard to beat this guy, but not impossible. Excuse me. For instance, he still recognizes both Sasuke and Naruto as the stronger of the three of them. Like, he can't beat them. He knows he can't beat them. He wouldn't even try. He probably also wouldn't go toe-to-toe with someone like, say, the Raikage if he could help it, or like any of these guys from, I don't even remember the new, or like a Sutsuki or something like that. He wouldn't go toe-to-toe if he had to. So there's Orochimaru. Medusa Gorgon, to be precise. Also known as Dr. Medusa, while she was at the academy, was a witch, the middle of the three Gorgon sisters, and the former mother of the demon sword master Krona, formerly a nurse at the DWMA. She secretly plotted to release the Kishin from his ceiling and succeeded with the assistance of her group of associates. So she's kind of I don't know if we can actually say she's a primary antagonist, because there are other antagonists, but she's definitely not a good person. But she's very full of herself. Like Frankenstein even pointed out, she's full of lies, and actually I care very little for anyone but seemingly herself. And she's very much a scientist. And I think that's why this pairing must take place a lot, is that the fact that she's kind of a scientist. Power-wise, at least in their world, she is stated to be on par with someone like Frankenstein, who is one of the strongest misers around. And is very capable in many different forms, including one of her big things is magic, as of which she's capable of performing various kinds of magics. Her magical powers can be boosted when in proximity to a powerful madness wavelength. That means dick in this fight, because it's impossible to understand what a wavelength would be transferred to another character. Using the 1,000 snakes in her body, she can use, and that's probably another reason this match is probably asked for. She can use them by using the 1,000 snakes in her body, she can use them by implanting them inside another's body, allowing her to track, watch, and communicate with a snake from within an individual. It can increase. It can also increase aggression, and those affected by her magic will have a snake around their soul. One of her attacks is direct attack spells. Seriously, that's what it's called, direct attack spells. Her signature magic skill allows her to control the 1,000 snakes within her body, which take the appearance of angular vectors, which she claims will allow no prey coming close to ever get away. These arrows also have various unique functions, such as being able to bend, ricochet, and pierce targets, while also taking on properties of sharpened blades and slashing and cutting. Higher level spells include 5-level spells. 1 second here. That's all it's saying. It's just high levels. Medusa is capable of performing selective advanced magic such as Soul Protect. Demonic energy. She's capable of infusing her snakes with this kind of energy. According to her, a teeny amount of her demonic energy was designed to accelerate the madness within the person, and its effects are activated during soul resonance. Wavelength control. Capable of splitting her own soul into teeny pieces only under special circumstances in which her magic powers is boosted by the proximity of, again, that won't matter here. High physical abilities. She possesses great physical abilities, which enables her to battle the likes of someone like Frankenstein. She's also very skilled in hand-to-hand combat. She's got genius level intellect. She's got medical expertise. She can command serpent commanding. According to Medusa, her light serpents, which themselves incredibly simple magical life forms, are not themselves a magic attack, as they respond not to her magic but automatically to her simple commands. She also has culinary skills as well. Good for her. Weaknesses. As a witch and evil magic user, she is vulnerable to those who possess an anti-demon wavelength, or one of the great traditional techniques of the Scythe Meisters. In addition, although Medusa's extremely strong defense, Frankenstein explained that her own pride could potentially cause her to let down her guard long enough for a skilled fighter to exploit her opening. Medusa knows her own limitations to her power, though, showing genuine nervousness when meeting death face-to-face for the first time. Medusa also was also utterly crushed by Medusa Gorgon mind attack, showing her madness-related attack can incapacitate her quickly and prompting her to create portable purple clown as an external contingency against madness. Okay, she basically created something to deal with that. Medusa's own magic was also disrupted and rendered useless when Justin's Law Madness Fusion. Then her own magic was disrupted, then rendered useless against Justice Law's Madness Fusion, with Justin calling her magic attack as being an obsolete age. She's also susceptible to even just the residual of a reflectability, so none of her actual weaknesses are something that could be generally explained, because they all seem to be very specific to the actual world of Soul Eater. A list of spells, though, that she does have: calculation techniques, calculation magic. She can determine placement using magic along with Eureka to help set up an independent cube created by... Basically, it seems to be an analysis technique. Direct technique spells. Vector arrows. She turns the snakes into arrows. Analyze decomposition. A spell that allows her to shoot the targets with her vectors and use the magic to break down any coding from the target. Vector storm. That's kind of self-explanatory. Other techniques include vector plates. Basically, it seems she turns them into some sort of shield. Is she able to summon the plate, be able to propel the subject the direction in which the vector she created points. Okay, that's interesting. So basically, she's creating a plate that wherever the vector is pointing, it's going to propel that person that way. Compressed vectors. The spell surrounds the subject, compressing them into a space the size of a small ball. That could be bad. Snake tail. A vector protrudes from their backside like a tail. Pliable but strong. The vector stretches while she keeps the entire weight balanced, so she can dodge with significant flexibility. Vector conduct. By placing the spell on a person, she gives them the vision. To follow invisible vectors she lays. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Vector boost, which she can bestow on others, showing that doesn't mean anything. High-level spells include Soul Protect, an advanced magic which allows her to disguise her soul as an ordinary human, being able to fool... Okay, that doesn't mean anything in this fight. Soul Protect cancel, she can deactivate it. Wavelength control techniques, Soul Possession. Use her under special circumstances of having her magic boosted, which doesn't mean anything here. Moving on. Madness Fusion. With the use of the portable purple clown, which she would probably have because she did make it, she can utilize the ability in an effort to combine the power of the purple clown and her light serpents and use it in her attacks. This enables her light serpents to fare better during her fight with Justin Law. Okay, good enough. Equipment includes light serpents. Functioning as support within her snake tattoos, her light serpents is a magic light form which can act on simple command from her hands, even outside her own magic situations, such as limitations of soul protection. A purple clown. Create an artificial clown in an effort to externally combat the usage of madness. While not as strong as an actual clown, that's an interesting statement, it was particularly effective against Justin Law's madness illusions, which means hypothetically it should be able to work against Genjutsu if Orochimaru were to try that. Last but not least, she has Snake Listening Device. She can hone it and allow her to listen to... Okay, it just allows her to listen to other people's conversation. Cool. Awesome. All right. So, who would win in a fight between these two? Two depraved scientists at that, duking it out for supremacy or to study the other in some way. Whatever the reason for fighting, we could definitely see these two clashing. So, who would win in a fight? I think right out the gate, if we're talking about an aggressor, personality-wise, I get the impression that Medusa is a bit more of the aggressor in the fight. She seems to have a lot more of a superiority complex than Orochimaru does. Orochimaru does have one, but he's also lost enough and had to come back from the dead at least twice, I think, and for it to... no, just once. But still have to technically come back from the dead in order for it to... Oh, no. You can count it as twice. Technically, he didn't die either time. But he came back when Sasuke absorbed him, and then he came back when Itachi sealed him away. So yeah, that's twice. But he's actually been defeated enough times that he won't be defeated so easily like the next time. Like, he won't let his guard down so easy. Medusa, while being pushed back and defeated, it still comes off, even this like image right here, comes off as someone who's very arrogant in a different way than Orochimaru. Like, Orochimaru's got that very arrogant smile, but that's more of a smile of confidence, like, I'm going to enjoy this. And Orochimaru normally can back it up. That's the look of someone who does not like what they're looking at, finds them either trash, disgusting, or a nuisance, and can't seem to get rid of them. So, I think a problem I find Medusa's going to have in this fight is that a lot of her techniques involve, wavelength, and it's impossible to judge another person's wavelength outside of the original series or outside of the series of Soul Eater. That's an impossible thing to do. I would have to be making very big assumptions, and that just doesn't work. But beyond that, if you really break down every one of her actual abilities, well, let's really break that down for a second. All of her abilities. She has her vectors, her snakes, basically, which, great. She's got a vector arrow times 3, analyze decomposition, vector storm, great. That's 4 offensive techniques. Pretty powerful offensive techniques. Vector plate, compress plate, vector plate, snake tail, vector conduct, which doesn't mean anything. Vector boost also doesn't mean anything. Soul protect and soul protect cancel don't mean anything. Soul possession can't be. It can only be used under certain special circumstances after having your magic boost. Madness fusion, in theory, could help her against Genjutsu, and light serpents can be at least somewhat useful. Orochimaru has her literally. Let me just go. That's about what? How many techniques did I theoretically? Nope, that's not what I want to do. And I'm just gonna. Yeah, there we go. Come on. There we go. I didn't want the. There's a video I had on the back that I turned off and then started. Let me just count up how many working abilities I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 maybe. 7 working abilities, perhaps. Canon alone known abilities and jutsus for Orochimaru. Let's find out, shall we? So, if I had $1 million, oh dear Lord. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, sorry, 6. Okay, and I can count just off the top of my head here 10 times the amount of abilities she has. A lot of these are anime abilities, but we could make the argument he does know these abilities. Even if I were to take the anime or novel abilities out of the equation, that's still 9-ish, 8-ish times the amount of techniques he has under his belt that were shown. Not even the abilities that he has not shown.
Multi-billion-dollar industry that's special.
I hate when this fucking does this. Okay. Good. We good. No more. Nope. We're just going to get off the video right now so that doesn't happen again. Sorry about that. So, she'd be the aggressor. He'd find her vectors interesting for a little bit, but he'd easily be able to get away from these. He's faster. He can easily use a substitution jutsu, a teleportation type jutsu. Not necessarily space-time, but, Shunsun, whatever. She'd probably get very annoyed after a while. And when he does get hit, he's kind of able to recover from it without too much difficulty. She, at one point, even catches him and tries to compress him down into nothing more than a small ball, crushing him. But again, substitution or just a powerful enough Winjutsu, yin-yang, snake that came out, bites her, she starts to seize up, doesn't work, her chakras fluctuating, or her wavelength, if you will, or her soul wavelength. Either way, Orochimaru's got more experience in his belt by a long margin, way more versatility, and is, I think, a lot more conniving than she is. He might he might think little of her at first, but the moment he sees the technique, he might be interested a little bit. But as soon as he sees how powerful it is, he would take her seriously enough that I don't think it'd be a big issue for him. So yeah, I spent so much time on her and the fight is really not much to go off of. So unfortunately, Orochimaru, I think, is just going to be an opponent that's way too much for her. This is just my opinion, though. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.